My neighbor's surveillance camera points right into my bedroom. I asked him why. He said, for security. I filed a complaint. The next day, my Wi-Fi went dead, and my truck's windows were smashed. That night, I installed something he'll never notice, until it's too late. I bought this house in Garland, Texas last fall. It's a modest place. 1-story. Brick. Older, but the bones were good. I liked the neighborhood. It felt calm, like the kind of place where people kept to themselves. After my divorce, that was exactly what I wanted. For the first few months, everything was fine. I fixed up a few things. Started to make it feel like mine. I'd see the guy next door, Dale, a few times a week. He was always out front, watering the grass, sweeping the driveway, staring at nothing. Mid-60s maybe. Always wore the same clothes. Same blank look on his face. We didn't talk much. Just a wave now and then. Sometimes he'd mention something about the weather or the Cowboys. That was it. Then one Saturday, I was walking back from taking the trash out when I noticed a new camera on the corner of his garage. It wasn't pointed at his car. It wasn't aimed at the street. It was aimed right at my house. More specifically, my bedroom window. I stood there for a second, trying to be sure. I even walked back and forth a little just to test the angle. It wasn't even subtle. The thing was squarely focused on the side of my house. That night, I closed my blinds and sat on the bed looking at the soft red light glowing from his camera. It felt like an eye, watching. I couldn't sleep right. The next day, I went over and knocked on his door. He opened it slow. Chewing sunflower seeds like always. "Hey," I said. "I just noticed the new camera. It's aimed right at my bedroom window. I'm hoping that's just a mistake?" He didn't blink. "No mistake," he said. "Put it there after some punk kids were trying car doors last month. It's for security." "But, it's pointed straight into my bedroom," I said. "That's not okay." He shrugged. "Not looking in your house, man. Just coverin' my side yard. Ain't illegal." I told him I didn't feel comfortable. That it felt like a violation. "You don't gotta feel anything," he said, turning back inside. "It's my property." I stood there for a second. Then walked away. That evening, I called the non-emergency police line. The officer who showed up was polite, but useless. Said Dale was technically within his rights. As long as the camera wasn't zoomed in or recording through my windows, it wasn't breaking any laws. They said they'd file a report in case anything else happened. That was that. The very next day, around noon, my Wi-Fi suddenly cut out. I called Spectrum. They said there weren't any outages. They sent a tech the next morning. He walked around the side of the house and found the cable behind the siding, cleanly sliced. Not chewed. Not weather damaged. Cut. He gave me a look like, "You know someone did this." I nodded. Later that same night, around midnight, I heard a sharp pop from outside. Then another one. I grabbed a flashlight and went out front. Both driver's side windows on my truck were smashed in. Nothing stolen. Nothing moved. Just broken glass everywhere. It wasn't random. It wasn't kids. It was personal. And I knew exactly who did it. But I had no proof. No camera. No witness. Just a sick feeling in my gut and the way Dale looked at me the next morning. He didn't say anything. Just stood there watering his grass like he always did. Smiling. Not big. Just enough. I didn't call the cops. What would I even say? They'd make another report. That's it. So that night, I went online. Ordered a few things. Waited 2 days for them to come in. Then, around 2:30 in the morning, I got up quietly. Slipped outside in the dark. I'd already disabled the motion lights on my side of the house. Wore black. Kept low. What I installed isn't something Dale would notice right away. But it's there. Watching now. Just like he was watching me. And when it's time, he'll realize exactly what I've done. The thing I installed was a hidden micro camera, about the size of a key, tucked under the corner of my rain gutter. It faced Dale's yard. The resolution wasn't great, but it didn't need to be. It had night vision and motion-triggered recording. I set it up to upload everything directly to a private cloud folder. For the first week, I got nothing useful. Just him mowing the lawn, spraying for weeds, staring into the distance. A lot of standing. A lot of chewing. But on the 8th night, just past 1 a.m., I saw him walk around the back of his house holding something long in his hand. I paused the feed. Zoomed in. It was a crowbar. He crept past the bushes that divided our yards and paused near my garage door. Then he leaned down and did something near the base of the wall. I couldn't see exactly what. Then he walked back. I checked the spot the next morning. The side panel of the garage had pry marks on the bottom edge, small, but fresh. He was testing me. Seeing how far he could go. That night, I added a second camera inside the garage. Then I started locking the interior door with a steel bar. The next day, I played dumb. Waved at him while getting the mail. He nodded. Smiled again. That tight, smug smile. A week later, I came home from work and noticed something weird. My garbage bin was missing. Just gone. I looked up and down the block. No one else's was missing. I knocked on his door again. You see my trash bin, Dale? Nope, he said. Maybe the city took it. Happens sometimes. It didn't. The city confirmed they hadn't picked anything up. The next morning, I found it. Dumped out in the creek 2 blocks over. Spray painted with a slur. That's when I realized this wasn't about the camera anymore. He had decided I didn't belong here. Maybe he didn't like that I'd filed a report. Or maybe he just needed someone to push around. Either way, I wasn't going to take it. That weekend, I went to my brother-in-law, Marcus. He used to do IT security for a bank, and he owed me for helping him move last year. I told him everything. Showed him the footage. He leaned back in his chair, whistled low, and said, "All right. You want to handle this quiet or loud?" "Quiet for now," I said. "But I want him to feel it." Marcus came over the next night with a laptop, a signal jammer, and something he called a pineapple. Basically a tool that could mimic a Wi-Fi network and intercept connections. We set it up in my attic. By the end of the week, we had access to Dale's Wi-Fi cameras, including the one pointed at my bedroom. He hadn't changed the default password. That's when I saw what he was actually recording. He had saved clips. Dozens. Mostly at night. From my window. Some of me walking around shirtless. One where I was changing. One where I was sitting on my bed, rubbing my eyes, just waking up. He was watching me. He had files named by date. Some had tags like funny or gross. I felt sick. I made copies of everything. Uploaded it all. Kept it in a drive only I could access. Then I called Marcus. "We go loud," I told him. But first, I wanted Dale to know I knew. The next morning, I left a manila envelope on his porch. No name. No message. Just still frames, printed screenshots from his own footage. With one line handwritten in red marker, "Nice view, huh?" That night, the camera pointing at my bedroom disappeared. He didn't wave at me anymore. But I wasn't finished. I still live here. The camera's gone, but the feeling isn't. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. For someone to show up, or for something to come back and bite me. Some nights I wake up and think I see movement outside, and I just sit there, listening. The truth is, I didn't want revenge. I just wanted to feel safe in my own home. But once you've been watched like that, once you've seen someone twist normal into something dark, you don't ever fully get that feeling back. 2 weeks after the note, the news story aired. They ran it without using my name, but the footage from Dale's camera. The stuff he had no right to record was blurred and shown. The anchor called it a disturbing invasion of privacy in a quiet Texas neighborhood. They even found 2 other people from his old town who recognized him. One of them, a woman in her 50s, said he used to fix her home security system. She'd always wondered how someone had gotten clips of her inside her own house. The story made the rounds. Local blogs picked it up. Dale, Robert, disappeared. No one saw him pack. One day, he was just gone. The truck, too. Mail piling up. Curtains still drawn. House locked tight. But here's the thing that still gets to me. A week after he vanished, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Just my name, written in tight, blocky letters. Inside, it was one photo. Me. Sitting on the edge of my bed. Face half lit by the morning sun. T-shirt wrinkled. Head in my hands. I remember that moment. I'd just woken up, exhausted from not sleeping the night before. On the back, in small black ink, it said, "This is the one I liked best." That's when I realized, he hadn't just been watching. He'd been choosing. Keeping favorites. I turned the photo into the police. They took it. Filed it. Said they'd monitor any further activity. But I could tell they didn't know where to start. And now every time I close my blinds, I wonder if it even matters. After the photo, I installed blackout curtains. Switched out all my interior locks. Added 2 more cameras. One at the front door, one facing the street. I even moved my bed to the opposite wall, away from any window. But none of that stopped the feeling. Every creak in the house made me sit up straight. Every car idling too long outside made me check the window. I started keeping a baseball bat next to the bed, and a flashlight with fresh batteries by the door. Marcus said I was getting paranoid. Maybe I was. But the feeling wouldn't go away. Like I was still being watched, just in a way I couldn't trace. One night, I stayed up late and sat out back with a blanket, facing Dale's empty house. It was completely dark, except for a faint glow in the upstairs hallway. I knew that house had no upstairs. The next day, I walked the perimeter. Took pictures. Looked for anything. That's when I found it, a small black box nailed into the back corner of his fence, facing my yard. It was flush with the wood, almost invisible unless you were looking right at it. A small hole in the center. Like a lens. I took it down and pried it open. Inside was a tiny camera. Battery operated. Wireless. Still on. I didn't tell the cops this time. I just handed it to Marcus. He ran the device, pulled the footage. It hadn't just been watching my yard. It had caught my entire routine. When I left for work. When I came home. What lights I turned on. When I took out the trash. Even when I opened my back door to let air in. We traced the signal to a remote cloud storage. Encrypted, but Marcus got in. It wasn't just me. There were folders. Labeled by address. Not names, addresses. Ours. The woman from the news. Another house 2 blocks away. One in a different city altogether. He had a network. And I wasn't the first. I probably won't be the last. Marcus said we needed to go to the FBI. He backed everything up onto a drive and kept copies in 3 different places. I didn't argue. At this point, I didn't trust anyone, not the local police, not the neighborhood, not even myself some days. We scheduled a meeting with a contact Marcus had from his old job. Quiet guy. Wore a wedding ring but never mentioned a family. He looked through the folders for maybe 15 minutes before he stopped, leaned back in his chair, and said, "You understand this is a federal crime ring, right?" I just nodded. The next few days moved fast. They took statements. Gathered equipment. Asked me not to say anything to anyone, not neighbors, not friends, no press. They needed time to follow the trail. And just like that, I was in it. Not just as the victim, but as the witness in a case bigger than anything I could have imagined when I first knocked on Dale's door. Then things went quiet. Too quiet. No updates. No calls. Just silence. A week later, I came home and found my front door slightly open. Everything inside looked untouched. Nothing was missing. But the edge of the doorframe had new scratches, and the deadbolt felt loose, like it had been forced then reset. I checked all the footage. Nothing. The system had gone offline for exactly 13 minutes. Whoever it was knew exactly what they were doing. I called Marcus. He came over in 20. We sat in silence for a while. Then he said, "He's not working alone." And that's when I remembered something I hadn't thought about since the first time I saw Dale's truck in the driveway. The sticker on the back window. Faded, but visible. A security company logo. One I'd seen before. Because 6 months ago, when I was still settling in, a flyer from that same company had been left on my porch. I threw it away without thinking. Now I wish I hadn't. I spent the next few days chasing down that security company. It was listed under a generic name, Patriot Solutions, but it didn't take long to realize it was just a shell. No working phone number. The address on the flyer led to an empty strip mall unit in Mesquite. No website. No staff. Marcus dug deeper and found the LLC was connected to 3 other businesses, 2 of which had already been flagged in federal investigations related to illegal surveillance and data theft. All dissolved quietly. No convictions. We handed it over to the feds. Again, they thanked us. Again, they said to be careful. And again, they asked us to stay quiet. That night, I got a call from an unknown number. No one spoke. Just breathing. Slow. Steady. Listening. I didn't hang up. I just sat there, holding the phone, staring at the dark. After almost 2 minutes, the line went dead. I knew what that was. It wasn't a warning. It was a reminder. A few days later, a federal agent called to say they had located Dale, Robert, living under another name in Oklahoma. They were watching him, collecting more evidence. Building a larger case. I asked what I should do in the meantime. The agent paused for a moment and said, "Stay alert. But live your life." Like it was that easy. But I try. I go to work. I come home. I sleep with one eye open. The cameras are always on now. Not just to catch him, but to prove I still see what's happening. To prove I'm not just another name in one of his folders. Some nights, I stand by the window with the lights off and stare out at the street, waiting for a car that doesn't stop, a shadow that doesn't move. And every time I think about leaving this place, I remind myself, he picked me once. If I run, it just means he gets to do it again.